Can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me now? It looks like you might be able to. It's got some green happening here. I hope you can. Someone put it in the chat. You can hear me? You can hear me? I'm so glad I checked the chat. And thank you all for letting me know, because what the heck? Why? You're all like, this looks like it would be helpful if we could hear her at all. If I was trying, yes, we got it. All right. Yeah, that was, just so you guys know, that's a little branding technique. You always want to build up the suspense for everybody. No, that is not intentional. I'm going to start over. Okay, so that's good. So now I'm all warmed up. And everyone, thank you so much. Let me give some quick shout outs to the people who are here. Yeah, I definitely have to start over. Thank you, Felicia. I'm glad you guys can hear me. You know, God always is out here trying to humble us, right? Like, that is exactly what I'm going to take it as. So thank you for all being here. Why don't we try that over again? And I'm going to take a breath. Everyone, please join me for that breath. And laughter. Exactly. Okay. All right. This is the art of creative branding, and I'm going to be doing a few different things today. So first of all, my introduction of myself. Many of you already know me, but in case you don't, my name is Karina Dorothy Crail. I go by CDK, and I operate under Art by CDK LLC. So I'm here to show you today what consistent branding can do for your company, especially if you're a small business. A lot of people are in a transition phase right now. I'm going to get all into that. But first, I just want to get you to get to know me a little bit better. And the best way for me to do that and to show you what I'm offering today is to show you my company's BRAZEN brand book. It's not the full BRAZEN brand book. These are some clips to fit the slide proportions. If you are interested in seeing the fully compiled 10-page brand book, please send me an email. I am happy to send it to you as an example. So let's get started. When you get a BRAZEN brand book from my company, you're able to see that it says, "Ciao, thank you for creating with Art by CDK LLC. We have BRAZEN guidelines. Please take some time to be present and familiarize yourself with our creation." Then you're going to see our company colors. You're going to be able to see that I have the codes for those colors written out. And this is a way that I can hand off to any of my designers, whether they're an employee, a contractor, a creative agency that I'm working with, or a press release. And you're going to be able to match the colors to the code exactly. We don't want for there to be some kind of debacle last minute and I'm supposed to be going on an interview and the color red is the completely wrong shade of red. We need it to be consistent. That's why we have the primary, secondary, and accent colors. Some companies have more. These are my colors. The primary logo, you can see, and if you saw me earlier, you can see I'm going to show you the dress again. So I've got the primary logo on my dress, as well as all of the other merchandise that's coming out in the collection. This is the Renaissance collection, and it'll be launching with my new website. I'm really excited. There's all kinds of amazing products. But this is one of those things that you're able to repurpose your logo for a bunch of different things, and you can repurpose everything in this brand book for anything that your company might need. The simplified logo is my artist signature. I have it tattooed on myself. I got the tattoo in 2016 when I went independent and started my brand. And so I've been at this for a long time now. I have always signed my art this way. Ever since I was in middle school, I've been signing my art exactly like this. And so it's just one of those things that stuck with me. And yeah, it was a way to show my dedication as well. So the typeface, I've got two fonts that I use, Railway and Cardo. I saw in the chat that somebody loves that font, Railway. It's a good one. And then we've got the logo treatment, things to be avoided, and any considerations. So I've got examples of what I would use primarily. If you're going to overlay the logo on anything, or if you're going to have it on a video, how that would be treated. So that goes under all of treatment. Anything to avoid. So I've got all of these examples of what you want to avoid, and then consideration. So for example, this is a paper cup. I don't want my logo on something that's going to be discarded. I'm a sustainable company, so I'll put it on a metal water bottle. I definitely will put it on something that's going to last. It's not that I won't put it on something to drink out of. That's not what it is. It's that I don't want it to be thrown away. I don't want it to be discarded. So I don't want it to go on a floor mat. We want our name to be cherished with Art by CDK. I want to make sure that it's respected and it's something that is going to be taken care of. So these are some considerations that you might want to consider in terms of how your company is representing itself. So I got to ask you, is consistent branding a pain point for your small business? If that made your heart hurt, I'm sorry. It's okay. I'm here to tell you that here's the tea. You're not, okay? There's a lot of people who struggle with this. In fact, many reputable brands have a lot of difficulty, and the solution is really more clear than one might think. That doesn't always mean it's easy, and it doesn't mean that it's going to happen immediately, but it is quite simple, and there's a lot of clarity. So I'm really glad you're here today, because together we're one step closer to getting you to a point where this doesn't have to be a pain point. It can be something that you feel confident, you feel secure in knowing that it's always going to be consistent, and you don't have to do anything except for hand someone a packet and answer any questions they might have. So we've got Spotify, Mailchimp, some other examples of brands I'm going to come up with in a second. And show you different examples. And I just want to tell you that your company actually really does need a Style Brazen brand book. I'm not just saying that to say it. Companies have to have a brand book to scale. It's just what is the truth. So if you still don't know what a Brazen brand book is at this point, and you're saying, I like what she's talking about, but what the heck is a Style Brazen brand book? Well, let me show you even more, okay? It's an internal marketing packet. So you hand it off to any employees. You're going to hand it off to any creative agencies, like I said. And this is what enables brands to become a household name. Netflix has a brand book, Spotify, Airbnb, American Red Cross, Mailchimp. These are just a few examples, but any brand that you know the name of, most likely they have wisely invested in this digital asset for their company. It's your creative compass, okay? It guides your business. It shows your image and your visuals and your voice, your tone. And whenever you get a Brazen brand book with my company, we design it in a way that shows your name, the logo type suite. So that was all the different types of logos and what it should be considered, treated, and used like. Then we have the typography. That's going to be your typeface, your font, any sizes, your corporate colors. We've got a brand philosophy. So I am brazen. That's one of my philosophies. I am bold. I am without shame. I'm coming out with a curriculum all about teaching people how to be bold and without shame in business and in art, in video creation, in a lot of different ways. So that's part of my internal philosophy. We have brand assets. These are things that we use as design materials. For example, one of my virtual reality universes I use as a brand asset. The 3 eyes, the third eye of consciousness, and the red ruby lips, these are part of my brand assets. They're not just mistakes. I'm consistent on purpose this way. It makes me recognizable. Language. Always being cautious of the way that we speak to one another. And especially online, nuances can be so hard to decipher. I make sure that number one, I always treat people with love, okay, respect, kindness, a little bit of humor, all right? These are things that are important to me. What's important to you? These are things you need to know, okay? My question is, where are you at with your branding? Do you know what you want? Do you at least know what you don't want? It's really important to have answers to these questions. I'm here to help you have those answers, okay? Branding is the foundation of your company, and you should not by any means cut corners, all right? Now that's the slideshow that I've got prepared, and I want to take some time to answer some questions. And I would also like to go through my Brazen brand book fully with you all if that's what seems most appropriate. But first, I'm going to check out the chat and see what everyone has to say. So yes, Fortune 500 companies have them as well. Restrictions on how to use brand, what not to use. You're absolutely right. Exactly. So we have to make sure that we're going in line with what is standard for the market, and that is what's standard. And I'm glad you love the dress, and thank you for stopping by to show some love, Carl. And yes, that's what that tattoo is. Exactly right. So I want to see, does anyone have any questions about what I was just presenting? And I want to give everyone a chance to go ahead and do that in the chat. Ask anything that might come to mind. And while you do that, I'm going to pull up my brand book so we can take a closer look at what my example for my company looks like. Let me go ahead and pull it up. Perfect. Awesome. So let me also put on, I had some 1111 frequencies playing because I very much, I'm always listening to high vibration frequency. It helps me relax. And that's why someone asked in the chat, why 1111 to go live? And that's the reason why. I wanted to make sure that I am always in line with what I actually do. And I listen to 1111 for protection, healing, and for high vibrational frequency. So, will I be doing consulting? I do have a consulting offer. That's a great question. I do consulting. I do half hour and full hour consulting. The packages come with multiple consultations. It's something that it's a necessity. We have to have long conversations, not necessarily long, but definitely focused conversations about what your philosophies are. So short answer, yes, I will be doing consulting, and I'll follow up with you on the link for that in email or in the DMs. Thank you for asking that. Let's see what this says. If you're speaking to a new company, how can you help them find their purpose or vision? So to be honest, Ariel, I don't really work with new companies that much for this offer. And here's why. Because you can have anyone do your branding. I am going to bring it to a really next level. And in working with me, it's important that people do have an understanding of what it is that they want. And so I do, like was asked before, I do consulting to help people find their purpose or their vision. That's something we can talk more about. But it would be irresponsible of me and inconsiderate of me to cash you out on a high ticket offer for something like a brand book if you aren't certain of what your company's purpose is. It's okay if that's where you're at. That's a normal place to be at if you're a new company. This offer is specifically geared towards small businesses who might be looking for, example, a rebranding now that things are all click and mortar, their location got closed down, something like that. So that's something to consider. New companies, I honestly would say this offer is probably not for you yet, unless you're sitting on a large budget to break down brand identity, because I don't want anyone's dollar spent with me to be spent irresponsibly. So that's my most transparent answer for something like that. I hope that helps. And I'll definitely follow up with you about consulting. It sounds like that might be something that could benefit you and your company. I love that name of the style book. Thank you so much. Yes, Style Brazen Brand Book. It kind of rolls off the tongue nice, huh? This seems to be the hardest thing to pin down for small business owners that are selling products. Yeah, see, I mean, for products or services, whether you're B2B or B2C, your brand is important. And people don't buy from companies. Like, they buy from personalities, you know, and brands can have personality. Brands can have, it doesn't have to be a spokesperson, you know, like there's a certain feel for specific brands. And if they don't have that pinned down, then how is the customer supposed to know? Or how is the business they're working with supposed to know? It's like people really receive, when you tell them this is who I am, they're like, I believe you. When you're like, I don't know who I am, they're like, okay, yeah, I believe you there too, but like figure it out and let me know. Yes, high energy, always. I love that. I love how you mentioned that you want to ensure that your logo and branding align with your core values, especially the example of if you love to protect the earth, you want to make sure you don't want your logo on an item that doesn't align with that. Exactly. Like, I'm trying to think of an example of something that I was looking at, because I got to select when I was designing the merchandise line, like what would I put it on and what would I not. I'm struggling to think of something that I'm like, no, that cannot go on there. But I can tell you that it's really important to me. I love children. Like, children are some of my favorite humans on the planet. Like, I get along with children better than adults sometimes. And so I wanted to make sure that we have things available for them and that parents know that you can have a CDK backpack and you can have a CDK notebook for your children to doodle in. And I'm coming out with a children's coloring book with a brand partnership I'm not allowed to release information on yet, but I'm really excited about it. And so those are some examples. Like, you always need to make sure you're doing something that's aligned. And that goes on a really, really deep level. Some of my spiritual people in the chat definitely understand that that's real talk. So that's good. It seems like I've answered some questions. If other people have more questions, please go ahead and feel free to ask. I'm going to make sure that I have the brand book pulled up, and I'm going to show you a little bit more of what it is I'm specifically talking about in terms of my company. And then if we have some time, I can show you some other logos, other Fortune 500 companies, designs, and answer any further follow-up questions before wrapping up, okay? So, by the way, thank you all for being here. It definitely makes me happy, and thanks for sticking around with the sound issues. So, glad it all is resolved. And sharing the screen. Here we go. Let me make sure that you can see. All right, you can. So, you already saw this page probably at some point if you watch my stories at all. This is the cover page to the brand book. And then we have ciao, please take some time, be present. All right. And then there's the about me page. I bring character, vitality, energy, life. I meditate, ideate, and create. I bring concepts to fruition artistically. I render emotional stories with a confident flair that audiences can connect to. Our name. So it's always talking about when referencing. Isn't it annoying if someone spells your name wrong? Like, just your name. It's annoying if someone does that with your company too. Okay, so you want to make sure that they know. My Art by CDK LLC has a comma, and there are periods after the letters LLC. Sometimes people don't have periods in their LLC. But if you search me on the Better Business Bureau and you don't put the periods, either someone else's company could come up or you won't find me. So this is a big deal, right? We used to be CDK Designs, but we've evolved since then. Throwback to those days. All right, this is the logo type suite. I already showed you this. Fonts, you already have seen this. Corporate colors, primary, neutral, secondary. And again, your colors just sort of depend on what your company needs. The brand philosophy. So our tone of voice is loving, kind, cool, confident, bold, shameless, unapologetic, truthful, transformational, solutionary, visionary, whimsical, colorful, radiant, bright, full of grit, high frequency being. Someone said it in the chat. So it conveys whether or not I even say the words, right? That's effective branding. So it's pretty cool. These are some of my brand assets. This is the page. It says made by Karina. I don't know if anyone's ever caught that, but the protractor used to say made in China, and now it says made by Karina. Haha. And this is the virtual reality universe with the eye. It's a little doodle. You guys are always seeing me do eye, lips, eye emoji. I also use the robot arm emoji and the sideways eyes emoji, which are not showing up in here. They're incompatible with PDF, I guess, but they're on the page, and you get them when you get the printout or the digital file. And then we have language really quick. When you're talking about Art by CDK LLC, these are some things that you can use and are acceptable. You collect art by CDK LLC. Find us at Art by CDK LLC. Like us at Art by CDK LLC. Tag us. Become a collector of Art by CDK LLC. The following phrases are not acceptable and would not be approved. And that would be CDK art. That's not a thing. I mean, it is, but it's not something that we formally say. Art by CDK LLC without periods and without a comma are not acceptable. Those are not things that should be used. So I'm glad that you're loving it, Travis. Thank you for being here. Just a short little anecdote. It's not even really an anecdote, but a mutual connection was asking if I was in your Discord channel. So just know that you're really out here. People are seeing you do your stuff. And I had to be like, I think I am in beast mode Discord, but I haven't ever opened Discord to use it. So I'm not the right person to ask. But needless to say, you've got some effective branding going on, clearly. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee from my Art by CDK mug. And by the way, this is the cover of my book that's coming out, but that's not the focus of the live today. Okay, if anyone's coming up with a question, feel free to ask it. I'm going to pull up one other example for us. Some of you I emailed this out to so that you could see some examples. Here we go. All right, so some deliverables that you can expect when working with me. I'm going to, Andrew's here. This is the person that was asking me about the Discord. What am I waiting for, Karina? I'm just focused in other places. I'm not waiting. I'll get on Discord. I know that that's where people hang out and stuff. I just got a limited attention span and got to put my energy where it's going to count right this moment. And right now it's not my focus, but I love a question like that. Thank you, Andrew. Deliverables. So these are all of the things that you can expect to receive when working with my company on this particular offer. All right, that's a long list of things, and they're all going to be helpful. So these are some examples. You've already seen this come through from my brand, but I want to show you some of the inspiration. So this is Mailchimp, has similar name. Mailchimp is one word spelled with a big M and a little C. It used to have a big M, but the times have changed. So you can see this is very standard. Here's what Netflix uses for treatment, avoid, and considerations. Fonts, different fonts for various companies. Corporate colors. So here's the American Red Cross Association. This is NYC. It's a makeup brand. We've got the tone of voice here. How we talk is as important about what we talk about. It's pretty straightforward. Here's Airbnb once again. And then this is an airline that I've never used before, but you can see I liked their color examples for their brand assets. You can see different textures, images that they might use. So it makes sense for an airline, right, to have fog coming through the clouds and a specific feel. It's all very curated in a way that feels natural. And then we have language. So, for example, Facebook has their language. They don't want you to say Facebook us, right? They want you to say tag us on Facebook. It's pretty straightforward, but it goes a really, really long way. Okay, so that is what I have for you all today. I want to make sure that I cover the specific offers really quickly as well, so that you all can sort of get an idea. And just know that, like I had said before, this is an offer that is for companies who are ready to scale. Okay, so if you aren't quite here yet, that's okay. I want you to have compassion for yourself. If this is something that you know you're ready for, then let's discuss that as well. But I can also make sure to keep you on track to get you to this point, because it's really important, especially if you're a new business. And it looks like we have a few of those in the chat today. So I want to make sure I'm mindful of that. So first things first, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see better. I've got my offer A is the editorial package. It's just the word stuff. It's everything about your brand philosophy, the language. I can get that back to you in 2 weeks. It's going to be $2,222.22. Okay. And yes, I do different payment options for different packages. Visual is going to be all things, it's very straightforward. All things visual, logo type, corporate colors, brand assets, 3 weeks, $3,333.33. And then this is the combo package, which includes everything that I showed you today. Plus, I actually include the different dimensions for every social media platform and channel that you exist on, so that anyone that is designing what you have to put out there in terms of media content, in terms of your social media management team, they'll have that to help as well. And this is going to include everything in offer A, everything in offer B combined. The turnaround time is 4 weeks, and the total is $4,444.44. And if you do the combo package, you end up saving $1,111.11. And that's really important, because you're going to need both of these at some point. So it makes sense to just go ahead and budget it out for the big package of the combo, and that is why it is recommended. So I'm going to go ahead and close these out, answer any final questions that might come up. And also, I just wanted to let you know how grateful I am for all of you, because it's really cool to be able to show up like this and just speak directly to you, answer any questions you might have, and to lend my creativity toward your business. Because, you know, I love having art of mine in people's homes, and that's so important to me. I love having my art in people's offices and having it around them. And there's something even, well, not necessarily more special, but a different kind of special to be able to have my art be such a foundational pillar to someone's business. Because that's what I really do. I create things that last forever. Like, they will live on far beyond me. I create sculptures, like ceramic sculptures, that won't be destroyed. Unless they shatter, they won't wither away. One day I'm going to have bronze sculptures up, and there could be a fire and that thing is going to stay. So I use that as an analogy that, yeah, like, that's the same thing for your brand. It's designed to live on beyond you if you allocate and do it right. So, loving the numbers, synchronicity, and price transparency. Yeah, it's important to just say it, right? Like, I'm never going to try to deceive someone intentionally around that. It's just not fair. It's not. Now, I love that you love the synchronicity, because it's important. And also, if you've seen the design on my dress, you know, I study esoteric geometry in art. Like, it's a very consistent thing in my art. And so it makes sense for it to be consistent in my brand. I'm glad that you love it. A clothing collaboration with Rob Roy Chalmers. He, she, fluid. Oh, that sounds cool. Did you tag? I think you tagged them, because there's an emoji there. That sounds awesome. I would love to hear about it. That sounds cool. I'll definitely be reaching out. Love that. Love that a lot. So I just want to leave you all with one last thought that someone on my team actually shared with me on Wednesday about what I do with this offer. He told me that his name's Jerome Dixon, first of all, I should say. He is amazing, and he's going to be taking over some of my social media it'll still be me engaging with you always. But he is going to be running certain campaigns around my clothing line, and all merchandise. It's not just clothing. So I'm really excited about that. And he said one thing that really resonated with me on Wednesday when we had a call about the different things that we're collaborating on. And he said that his job used to be that he chalked the planes. So I didn't know what that meant. He told me that if there's people that wait for the pilot to return with the plane and the passengers, and sometimes the brakes don't get locked. Like, it's a thing that pilots forget to lock the brakes of the plane. And so there are people there who specifically chalk the jet. And my job is to make sure that you get from point A to point B as safely as possible. Okay? My job is to chalk the jet. If you're the pilot, we've got to make sure that all of your bases are covered and your brand consistency are your brakes. Because that thing is going to keep rolling if you don't have someone looking out for you. Let me chalk that. So if you're about to do a site revamp, if you're about to start doing targeted ads, you really need to have an identity for your brand. Okay? So if this is something you want to talk a little bit more about, I'm open to it. I will send everyone in the chat the link to the consultation if you need a little bit more time to figure out where you might be at in terms of branding. And if you already know you're ready for it, then let's discuss the different options. I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. I'm so grateful for you, and it's so much love from me to you always. Okay.